Welcome back, everybody. Brand new show for you today. As always, every single day, the Cabral Concept delivers a new topic on functional medicine, naturopathy, integrative health, all things wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, and all things healthy biohacking. So what we want to do today is share with you the 10 specific reasons, the top 10 reasons why you might be getting headaches. Maybe it's only once a month, or you know somebody in your practice, if you're a practitioner, integrative health practitioner, that might be getting them coming to you on a daily basis. So I just saw someone 2 weeks ago in my practice that was dealing with near daily basis headaches, and they had been dealing with them for years. So what I was able to do was work with that patient or wellness client over a number of hours to discern when is the most likely time a headache is going to come, what would preempt or maybe what would exacerbate the condition that was happening, and start to work backwards. And by doing that, we painted a pretty clear picture as the 2 to 3 likely culprits that it was. And then what we're going to do over the next month or two is work on one of those 3 different variables, one at a time, to begin to isolate which one it might be. Now, this person that I'm working with is only in their later 40s. And so you might say, well, I want to get rid of them today. Again, I totally understand. But what I do is I don't see people after they've had these things for years. They've worked with so many different practitioners. My thing is say, we're going to do this once, we're going to do it right, and then you'll never have to do it again. That's always my goal with working with anybody in my practice. And that was the commitment that I make. And I said, this is what's going to happen. I mean, in a good way, like this is how we're going to work the process. And at 48 years old, okay, we're going to make sure that we figure it out, that this is the year we figure it out. And then for the next 48 years of your life, you don't need to deal with this ever again, right? Or it's just a one-off. We all get headaches every once in a while, but when it becomes a consistent thing, it can actually mean that there's a problem. So I want to share with you the top 10 reasons right now. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it'll help a loved one. That's what this is all about. You know, even if you're not dealing with it, who's to say your mom, your dad, your sibling, someone in your community is not dealing with this particular issue, even a coworker. All right, so let's go through it right now. Top 10 most common reasons for headaches. And this could include migraines as well. Migraines is a little bit different of a show. I've got lots of shows on migraines. Head on over to stephencabral.com/podcast. Just type in migraine. You'll see all the shows just on migraines. They're a little bit different. All right, so let's go into it right now. Number one reason, not the number one. So I want to clarify. These are in no order of importance because we don't know what might be affecting you. That's where bio-individuality comes in. But I should say the first one on the list instead of number one, the first one on the list is tension and eye strain headaches. Now, I try to label it in a way that you would understand where it's coming from. And I'm going to list these all at stephencabral.com/2986. That's where all of today's show notes will live. So if you want the top 10 list, I'm going to label them there, and then I think you'll be able to discern exactly what they mean, right? So tension and eye strain, what's that all about? It means literally staring at your computer, your screen, or tension from stress. It can even be physical activity. Physical exertion can lead to strain and tension through the temporal artery and other arteries in your head, your skull, your cranium, or coming up through, and I'll probably mention this a few times today, the trigeminal area or trigeminal region behind your ear, kind of where these occipital bones are, the bones that you can feel at the bottom of your skull. We can build up tension there through like shrugs or heavy deadlifts or even squats or anything like that sometimes can lead to a headache. So it's worth noting. The other big thing, and I'll be talking about this a little bit later in our top 10, is the positioning of the head. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. All right. Then number 2 on our list is sinus-based pressure headaches. So I know back in the day, literally during the winter time, I used to get sinus infection after sinus infection after sinus infection. I was very unhealthy for the first 27 years of my life, very unhealthy. And luckily, I found a mentor. I found many practitioners that were very helpful, but one mentor that was able to pull things together. I said, this is amazing. How did you do that? Started walking me through the process. And I said, I've read thousands of books. I've done this, I've done that. I've never heard about it, talked about it in this way. Amazing. Went back, got my degree, try to obviously now share this with as many people as I can, just paying it forward. Someone did it for me. I want to do it for others. Like that's basically the bottom line. And then all of our integrative health practitioners, they're now, of course, paying it forward to their clients. And then in the future, maybe their clients become health coaches as well. That's what it's all about. Putting a health coach in every home. That's my goal. I mean, like literally, what's your North Star? Try to put a health coach in every home. I want every mom or dad, or then eventually their kids, to be the health coach in their home, to learn how to read their own at-home labs, to understand what's going on with their own health, so they don't need to rely on a medical system that is just bent on prescribing pharmaceuticals, a pill for every ill. It's not an ideal way to live, and it's also not health. It's sick care. There's no looking at all at the underlying root cause, which is a shame. But that's a topic for another show. So when I had these sinus infections, but also allergies, I dealt with allergies for years. The inflammation in my nasal passages would build up and it create a headache. All right, so that can happen. The third one is this: hormonal changes. Many women we work with in our practice. We work with tens of thousands of women every single year just on hormonal balance. We've been doing this for a long, long time, and we run one lab. It's called the stress mood metabolism test. We can look for estrogen dominance. We can look for high levels of testosterone. We can look for low levels of DHEA, high levels of cortisol at night, low levels of thyroid, all the typical things we're often seeing, high levels of insulin. So that one test, the stress mood metabolism test, does it all. But we can look at that because estrogen, especially estrogen, that's why I'm not demonizing estrogen. Women need estrogen. Men need estrogen, believe it or not. We do. But it can be a trigger for headaches. So I just want to talk about that because sometimes they're later in a woman's cycle, maybe days 21 through 27, 28, whatever it might be, or the very beginning of their period or menstrual cycle as well. So just want to put that out there. If you think, well, I should put it this way. If your headaches only come during specific times during your cycle, let's call it the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase or ovulation, or luteal phase, it's important. Run the stress mood and metabolism test when you get your headaches. If they're like clockwork, every 28 days, every 30 days, whatever your cycle may be, run the lab. Find out what's the underlying root cause for this headache. All right. The next one is dehydration. This can happen to any one of us. So we could be consuming more protein, because I know a high protein diet is kind of the thing right now. That's what's going around. Or higher levels of salt. People say, I need more salt. I need more salt. Now, the good thing is, at least usually they're drinking it with more water, which is good. But all of these things can dehydrate us. So protein's not bad, but typically you need to consume more water, right? So just in general, making sure that you get enough water, hydration throughout the day. Fruit counts as water. Your veggies count as water. They're 90% water. Your smoothies count as hydration. Herbal tea counts as water, like all hydration. So all of those things do matter, and you can definitely add that to the mix. Things that we don't typically add to the mix are black tea, caffeinated coffee, etc. It's not that they're bad. If you take them over time, they're not really going to dehydrate you. Your body gets used to it, but you just want to make sure that there's not too much fluid loss, especially in the warmer weather. It can absolutely trigger a headache. Okay, the next one, kind of talking about black tea or coffee, is caffeine withdrawal. A lot of people, we just did our functional medicine detox. You're doing your functional medicine detox. You're like, I got a headache on day 1 and day 2. Okay, are you used to drinking coffee? Yes. Did you stop coffee during your detox? Yes. Okay, it's not a detox effect. It's not a detox effect. It's caffeine withdrawal. That's the number one reason for headaches on a detox, especially the functional medicine detox we do, is you stopped coffee. If you're going to stop drinking coffee, no problem. That's your choice. You don't have to for the functional medicine detox. You can keep drinking your coffee. It's okay. Just do 1 cup, no additives to it, just your coffee, and you can do that. And there's no issue with that at all. So if you're going to cut out your coffee, do it the week before a functional medicine detox. So you get those kind of headaches or withdrawal out of the way ahead of time. My favorite way for people is not to just stop the coffee all at once, because it is a very powerful supplement, a very powerful drug, that caffeine. So go from fully caffeinated to 3/4 caffeinated to then half caff to then a quarter caffeine and then no caff over a month. Each week, just decrease it by 25%. Easiest way. I've got a whole podcast on how to wean down off of caffeine. We'll link it updated with all the other show notes at stephencabral.com/2986, especially if you have high cortisol levels. Start to wean down that caffeine. All right. I'll link up the stress mood and metabolism test, which also tests your cortisol, all your sex hormones, thyroid, vitamin D, etc. I can link that up today as well. All right. The next one is toxicity. So yes, this thing that people never even used to believe in. Well, toxicity, believe it or not, causes headaches. What might be it? Well, inhalation of specific toxins. So inhalations of, let's say, volatile organic chemicals or compounds, things like perfume, or the smell of gasoline or exhaust, any of these things we breathe in, we can absolutely get a headache from that. Some of them are invisible vapors, of course, but you smell them, right? They're there. Another one is smoke. So smoke is a big trigger for many people. I'm going to get to that. Actually, let's just talk about it now. So food sensitivities. There are many healthy foods out there that cause people to get a headache. Believe it or not, things like sometimes lemons or citrus-based fruits or pineapples, things like that. And why would that be? Well, some of them contain higher levels of histamines. And these histamines aren't necessarily a negative just for regular everyday people, but for people like me back in the day who were very sensitive to mast cell production and histamine production, well, these things could trigger a headache. So for me, every day, this is no exaggeration. When I was in grade school, I was about my daughter's age, 9 years old or so. Every day, headache. After lunch, about an hour or so after lunch, and then it would last through the afternoon. Every day, a headache. They blamed it on allergies, which I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but I ate all foods I was sensitive to at lunch. My parents didn't know it. Like, this wasn't a thing back then. When nobody knew this growing up in the 80s, like all these different things, didn't know about it, but food sensitivities can absolutely trigger a headache. And that's why there can be challenging. Like if you only get headaches every once in a while, let's just keep a simple food journal. Oh, okay. Every time I eat fish, oh, I get a headache. Like, so you want to look at that. There are absolutely specific triggers, and one of them could be alcohol for you. So just keep in mind, like alcohol is a toxin. It really is. And it can lead to headaches that evening or the next day. I don't drink a lot of alcohol, hardly any anymore, to be honest. It's just, I've kind of just over the last couple of years, I had a couple drinks every once in a while with friends, and probably in the summertime, I'm more likely to have a drink. But now it's like, it's just not even worth it. It's really not. Like I enjoy having this social aspect of a drink. Don't get me wrong. I do. I don't need it. I haven't needed it for decades to go out and have fun with people at a bar. I don't need a drink at a bar to have fun. That's just, I would still have fun. And I've done that many, many times. But now I just don't want the next day feeling. I don't want the headache the next day or it's not even a headache because I don't drink enough to get a headache, but it's just the slightly lowered energy, little bit of brain fog, being a little bit off. But again, that's my choice. I'm not putting that choice on you. But the reason why I brought that up in the first place is if I drink champagne, I could just have 2 or 3 sips of champagne. I don't think that I'm the best at saying that. That could trigger a headache like within 20, 30 minutes. It's unbelievable. So anyway, I digress. The next one is low blood sugar level. So some people, the opposite of high blood sugar, although high blood sugar can trigger a headache, quite high blood sugar, but many people, as they start to drop into the 60s or 50s for blood sugar, a headache can ensue. Okay. Number 8, poor posture. This brings us all the way back to number 1, and that's strain, right? Well, if you're staring at a computer, it may not be just the eye strain alone. It can be what's called cervicogenic headaches. And what that means is that there's cervical flexion. It means that your chin is coming way over your chest. So basically, you're kind of sticking your neck way out, staring at that computer screen. What happens is your head weighs, 6 pounds, 8 pounds, somewhere around there. And when you've extended off of your shoulders, so it's meant to sit on top of the shoulders, right? So your ears are in alignment with your shoulders in alignment with your hips, your knees, your ankles, etc. We used to do that all the time in strength and conditioning and personal training. Look at a plumb line, look at someone's posture. Well, if you put that head too far forward in front of your shoulders, then it puts more strain on the muscles, like the trapezius muscles, that hold it in place and hold it back. That can lead then to tension and a headache. All right. So number 9, certain medications, medication overuse headaches. They actually have a name in conventional medicine called MOHs, and MOHs are medication overuse headaches. So these are rebound headaches from using medication that helps to prevent the headache. It's kind of like using Afrin as a nasal spray. So Afrin you're supposed to use for like 2 to 3 days maximum, right? But most people use it, or no, I shouldn't say most people, some people use it for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it might be. And then when they stop using it, their nasal passages get inflamed again. Well, many people who use a muscle relaxer or headache reliever, etc., once they stop using it, because they didn't necessarily work on the underlying root causes, it get a rebound headache and many times often worse. Okay, the last one is this. chronic based diseases of the body. Yes, they all have an underlying root cause, but here's the thing. High blood pressure can lead to headaches, like without a doubt. Type 2 diabetes or diabetes in general from dysregulated blood sugar can lead to headaches. Another big one, though, is autoimmune issues. A lot of people don't think about that. And that's because autoimmune issues have a massive underlying layer of inflammation. I don't know of an autoimmune issue or autoimmune disease of the body that does not have inflammation as part of its underlying layer, right? I don't want to say root cause because all these autoimmune issues have underlying root causes. So those right there are the top 10 causes for headaches. There are others, but these are the main ones. Now, each one of them, like low blood sugar, you're able to test that. You're able to say, oh, the headache right now, let me pull out my glucometer. Oh, yeah, my blood sugar is at 58. Oh, I'm getting a headache because of low blood sugar. Another one, toxicity. Yeah, I drank alcohol last night. Oh, I might be sensitive to these eggs or this whatever. Dehydration. I haven't drank anything and I just exercised or whatever it might be. You're able to figure out the hormones, the sinus, all of these have an underlying root cause. The nice thing is when you work on the underlying root cause, then you won't get any more headaches because you fix the thing that leads to the headaches. The headaches itself are simply a symptom letting you know there's an imbalance. Hopefully this has been helpful. This was episode 2,986. That means we have 2,985 previous podcasts that you can get more in-depth information on things that might be ailing you by simply going to stephencabral.com/podcast. And for all of today's show notes, head on over to stephencabral.com/2986. Feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.